Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to House of Footy. It's your boy Ray, and with me, I got a full house. Welcome, Mac
Good evening.
and Gio.
What is good, everyone?
While we are in the midst of the offseason, we have come back to you with another draft, the franchise takeover. After this, we are going to be starting our preseason coverage, starting with Arsenal next week. So keep out on the lookout for that. Before we get into it, don't forget to follow us on our social medias, both on Instagram, both on Twitter and Instagram. Our handle is at @house_of_footy. Also, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to us. We are on both Spotify and YouTube. And lastly, feel free to get in touch with us via email. We love hearing from you guys, and we want you guys getting involved. Our email is houseoffooty@hotmail.com. But Mac, take it away.
Yes, lovely. My favorite time of the year, draft season. So, in essence, what we're going to go through, we're just going to break down the type of draft. As Ray had mentioned earlier, it's a franchise takeover. This is going to be very similar to what type of experience you may get in start a franchise mode in 2K or create a team in FIFA. It's a little unique, and what we're going to be able to do is that it's our job, our three hosts' job, to help build the best franchise from the ground up within a certain types of categories, which I'll go over in a moment. A couple key concepts, or a couple key ideas, just to keep in mind as we're going through these questions, is that money is an issue. And in essence, it's up to the fans, you to decide and vote on who you think built the best team to be the most successful in kind of their inaugural kind of season in the MLS. We're keeping it very North American here, as if we are to create a franchise to play in the MLS, because we are, of course, North American. So it makes it a little easier for us to be able to do that. Again, it's going to be snake draft order, but before we pick our draft order, I'm just going to go over the 5 categories. 1 being manager, 2 being the city. So you can replace an existing MLS team's team if you want, take over their city in some ways, similar to in those modes that I talked about earlier, but it has to be MLS based or North American based. 3rd category is going to be stadium or fan base, the combination of the two. The stadium comes with the fans come with the stadium. It's a 1-to-1 option. So probably no one's going to select Spurs, even though they have a great stadium, right? Because it's a combination between the two, right? 4th category is going to be young player. It's any player under the age of 25, kind of symbolizing, oh, this is our hope. This is the player that we want to build around for the future. And again, money isn't an issue. And the last category, the 5th category, is club legend. The rules are for that category, it has to be a retired player, no longer playing. The idea being is who statue is outside that stadium that you have. Any questions before we go into the draft order, fellow draftees? Ray, Gio?
Yes, I actually do have a question. Now, in terms of, thinking about the manager I'm selecting, would I, in theory, have a budget for players, or is this kind of a fantasy thing?
It's complete fantasy thing. Think of it as the Saudi league that's happening right now. I think Ray would mention that kind of is like you can just do whatever you want. Steven Gerrard's going to sign Jordan Henderson because he wants him. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Perfect. So we're on the same page there. In terms of choosing the draft order, what we're going to do is I have a number in my brainsicle between 1 to 10. And Ray, you're going to go first. You're going to go second. Whoever gets closer to the number gets to choose the draft order. So that means you just select who goes first, who goes second, who goes third. So I'll leave my fate up to you guys because I'm so nice. Ray, you had selected first. So I have a number between 1 and 10. What do you think it is?
In brand with sort of my theme of today, number 5.
Gio, what's your guess?
I am going to go with number 9.
Okay, the number was 3, so Ray, you were closer. Therefore, you choose the order. So who goes first, who goes second, who goes third? Your choice.
So, of course, the best goes first, so I'll be going first. Mac, you like drafts a little too much for my liking, so I'm going to have you go third. And that means, Gio, you're going to go second, Gio.
Sounds good.
I thought by allowing you the choice, I would have easily been selected a second, but it is what it is. Fine, whatever. Haters are haters. Anyway, but let's get started here. So with it being a snake draft order, Ray, you're going to start off with the first round. Please tell us your category, your selection for that category. And then if Gio and I want to rant or rave, promote or demote your pick, we'll definitely jump in there. So Ray, who you got or what you got?
All right. So pretty simple here. We're gonna start off with a young player, and I actually had to do a quick Google search before I named this player. And like I said, there's a theme to my draft today, and that player is gonna be none other than Kylian Mbappe, who is 24 years old at the time of recording. So that's of course one of the best players in the world right now, and that's the easy choice. Kylian Mbappe would be my young player, quote unquote, to start my franchise.
I want to jump in there right now, and I'm going to go. I apologize. I'm going to be a hater of this draft because I have strong takes. I think that's a horrible pick. Because if you're a PSG right now, you hate Mbappe because he wants to leave. I don't know. Hey,
that's true.
How happy can you keep him? I think he's great for 6 months, but he's out the door. Are you worried about loyalty, or how are you going to kind of entice Mbappe to not think about Hala Madrid?
So that's the thing. He's, of course, has a situation at PSG where he says he doesn't want to sign for another season. He's probably looking elsewhere at this moment as well. Want to come to MLS, very much like Messi, have an off season, prepare yourself for maybe the Euros next year, and then, go back to Europe. In the meantime, you come and help our team in the MLS win a league, and then, bring the standard up in the team, and that's it. You're not necessarily at your prime, but of course you are one of the best players. And maybe if we can recoup some money from his sale, that's a win-win situation for all of us. So that's my thinking.
Lovely. I think my favorite. I'll be honest with you. In terms of another positive, is that he's decent speaking English because he understood when Tom Holland's like, "Hey, can you come to Spurs?" and he just laughed them in his face. So he's got a good handle on that. Gio completely understands, on the same page there. Gio, what's your thought on this? If not, when you want to kick around with the second round and your first pick and the second overall pick overall.
No, I like the pick. Obviously, you're gonna snag the stars while they're out there. But mine's not too different from Ray's. Actually, I'll start my pick. I will also start with the young player, key player, and that is Mr. Erling Haaland. I think he would do quite well in the MLS, as they're not as technically gifted, but he is fast as hell. Strong as hell. I think fits the North American game quite well. And yeah, I think he'll just dominate as he does in the Prem, and he'll have a quite seamless transition for that.
I think that's the fair pick. I think if you were to ask me prior to going into the draft, these would probably go number 1, 2. Just given the fact that, again, young players, there is that talent there. You can sell jerseys, you can kind of build a team around and have an idea. Haaland, I think, in any league would walk in and destroy, but the less technically gifted they are, the more wiggle room he has to dominate and just literally beat everybody with like a 2x4 and just rampage and run through them. He's not going to be afraid of getting into challenges. We've seen that. He's not going to be afraid of weather situations. I think it's just going to make his life easier, coming into a league potentially like the MLS. So I think that's a great selection. If you were to ask me, I would have taken him slightly over Mbappe because of that. Because I could see him being, I could just rack up bare numbers here. You know what I mean? It's like
100%.
It's like Dwight Howard in the Taiwanese league in NBA basketball. I think it is. It's like he could chill there for a couple of years and just dominate and be like, okay, I'm averaging 50 and 20. I can shoot threes. I do whatever I want. So love that pick.
I just wanted to jump in there and say, just recently, we know time recording is, of course, confirmed. Messi is joining Inter Miami for the upcoming season. And I've just seen photos, of course, of Messi training with the team. And I just think one of the best players to ever play the sport, though he is in his now mid to late 30s, still one of the best players in the world. He's going to destroy this league. And with those fresh legs like Haaland and his physicality, oh, man. Does he even need to show up to practice? Because the way he's going to destroy the league, it's just he might as well pick up a side sport while he does play for the MLS. So, hey, crazy pick. I like it.
Great pick, lovely. So now this goes to me with my first pick, the bottom of the third round, and I'm on the ass end of the draft. So I got 2 picks here. Since you both selected your young players, I don't have to worry about that. So I'll save that till later. I'm going to go with my manager, make it smooth and simple here. I think if the idea here is we don't worry about money, I'm going to pick the manager that's never ever worried about money because he always just goes to the best team with all of the money, right? So I'm going to go with Pep Guardiola. He's going to walk in, build the foundation of a team. I have all the money bags. I can do whatever I want, and he's just going to be allowed to cook from the bottom up. As we build the team around and kind of add different kind of aspects or players or, you know, the identity, I think he's definitely could be a face of it. Because if you were to ask me who's the face of the Man City revival these last couple of years, it's been Pep. And I think that he could, in some ways, even outshine some players with his personality, with his kind of his following, with his reverence. And again, money bags, Pep always will chase that, as we know. And if I have him, I'm probably going to win the league. Let's be real here. He's only lost it twice in his professional managing career that he's been the manager of a team. He didn't end up winning the league, so we'll take it.
Crazy stuff. And also in MLS, there's so much turnover. You definitely need a strong manager, which of course would make a case for you. You know, you can sign designated players and all, but you really have to work with what you got. You don't have the best sort of crop, so definitely a great manager and of course football manager in general. That's going to be key. So yeah, that's a great pick. I think would have definitely been one of our choices. So I'm glad it's already gone. Not my choice, but for sure I'm not surprised to see his name up there.
Not my choice either, but I guess I think you do fancy Pep a little more than the both of us do. So yeah, no, it makes sense, especially if you're starting a team that has no budget. I think he in the past couple of years has shown that he can put the right puzzle pieces together, the best, and with no money limit, who knows what you can do with that team.
100%. So now my second pick. So the first pick of the second round, I'm going to go with Club Legend for sure. I have two on my draft board that I think I could look at either way. One player is probably more famous for like the 70s and the 80s. One player is probably the most iconic player from the 2000s, but I feel like he has a little bit more competition. Ooh, I don't know. What do I want to do here? I think if we're going to go MLS, if we're going to go money, if we're going to go kind of the big hair, excitement, a lot of fun, somebody that, it is also going to create a whole lot of drama for maybe some off the field issues through stroke or run, but has proven as a club legend that he can build and mold a team around him and kind of be revered by them forever. So I'm going to go with Diego Maradona as my club legend. I think that's who I'll go with, because it gives me the ability to, again, like I said, what he did with Napoli, how they still revere him, where every 1 and 2, I think, man there is named Diego. I think, why can't we pass that along in the MLS? There could be a lot of Diegos here. Who knows, As well as, again, the controversy will never end with him. He'll be a club legend, but all of the drama that'll come around with this after his retirement, we're still making money there. So I'm going to take Maradona.
Crazy pick. Yeah, of course. Rest in peace to one of the best to ever do it. But yeah, man, regardless of what's happening, Maradona, his name and the club will be synonymous. So, hey, you'll always be talked about. Definitely.
Absolutely. Hey, there's no such thing as bad publicity, eh? That's what it is.
Exactly it.
Never.
Yeah,
No such thing.
I think, Gio, now you're up on the board again in the middle of the draft.
Okay.
How or where you want to go?
Okay, so I'm actually going to follow you, and I'm going to pick my manager now. And my manager will be Zinedine Zidane. He has a knack of bringing the best out in players, and when he has a number 9 who likes to run with his head down, what can go wrong? What can really go wrong? And I think, again, before Pep, even when Zizou didn't necessarily have the best, starting 11, he was able to get the best out of his guys and, go on that run to win those multiple Champions League titles. So I think for him, if what you said is what you said, and this is a fantasy and there's almost no budget, I think he can be put up with the likes of Pep. So I will go with Zizou for this one as my manager.
Lovely choice. I think that was definitely on the board of possible selections here. Maybe even him here and also in a different category as well in some ways, you may argue. So I think that's a very interesting pick and kind of takes him off the board of kind of any flexibility of what we may have wanted to use him for. So the lovely pick, definitely up there in the conversation as, even though he doesn't have the tenure or kind of maybe the accolades over a long time period, but in a span of a short time period, he's in the argument for one of the best managers of all time. So, and still potentially kicking it. Who knows where he'll go? So lovely to see him. He now gets a job, so good for him. Ray, what are your thoughts? If not, you want to give us your next pick as well?
Actually, Gio stole my pick. Because, and you guys will see, there is a slight theme to my draft. So because that's gone, I'm gonna have to, of course, switch it up to a different category. And hey, I love the pick, Gio. First of all, but in line with my theme, the city that I'm going to be choosing is, of course, Montreal. It's going to be a all French affair, and cat's out of the bag. Of course, Montreal is in Quebec, which is a French-speaking province here in Canada, and of course we have Mbappe. We were supposed to have Zidane, but hey, we'll reconvene and see who else we can sign. But Montreal makes perfect sense. He'll feel like home, and it's an up and coming club. They haven't had the success that they would have wanted in the MLS. Of course, overshadowed by Toronto for certain things. But hey, there's a lot of history to be written, and could be a big thing, especially as one of the 3 clubs in the MLS from Canada. So why not be the one that takes it all? So that's my choice in city that we're going to be taking over.
I love that pick for you. I could see the theme that you're trying to build there, Le Bleu, in some ways. So it's lovely to see. And you can, you get when people win the World Cup, they can bring it over, to Montreal, and you're chilling there. Lovely to see. I think that's definitely a great city. Having been there, lovely city.
Maybe I know who his manager might be now. Hey,
I think we'll know a couple of the other factors too fairly soon.
Yeah, very soon. Very soon.
And they he might just add the word le or les in front of it. Who knows? Whatever.
Yeah.
Hey. Next part might be coming in French, guys. So be ready for part 2. On that note, we're gonna take a quick break here, guys, and then we'll be back with the round 3 to 5. So stay with us. Welcome back to House of Footy, guys. We are gonna continue our franchise takeover draft, and now I'm up with the 3rd round pick, and my pick is going to be stadium/fan base. Like I said in part 1, I did have a theme. Gio kind of derailed it a little bit, but still I feel that even though I want to stick to my French theme, it really just makes sense for me to pick a stadium/fan base that is very near and dear to my heart, and that is not Liverpool. It's actually Borussia Dortmund. We're gonna go with the Signal Iduna Park. We're gonna bring that to the MLS, to Montreal, of course, and their fans, great fans overall, and more importantly, a very patient group. Of course, now we know how Dortmund have been a team that not necessarily has the best players at their peak, but of course is always good with signing young players, walking them through, and of course seeing them sold for a lot of money. So we need a steady fan base that will be there through the good times and the bad times. And of course, that's my pick, the Dortmund Stadium, Signal Iduna Park, and the Borussia Dortmund fan base. So that's my pick for round 3.
I'm absolutely gutted. I'm not going to lie. That if it was going to be my first pick in the next round, I think that's clearly the combination of stadium with fan base. Just the photos you get from that type of experience is absolutely top tier. I think that there's almost nothing that could beat it in the world of football in terms of the type of support they get. Still not winning the Bundesliga title for the last over 10 years now, but you still have droves and droves of fans, the signs, the photos that you're able to kind of just gleam off that fan base, on top of that being a top tier stadium. I think that's an excellent pick. Probably, even though if as we put it out, probably the most underrated And I think at some points it's gotten so underrated, it became overrated, but then now it's back to underrated in some ways, where just how much that stadium, that fan base can support a club for sure. Lovely pick.
Yeah, no, it's a reason why German football has cages up for them, because obviously, as patient as they are, it can get crazy in German football, and we've seen it get crazy. So, love the vibe there. Definitely calm, but can get rowdy at the same time. So, we love that. We love the passion there.
Which is of course very on brand with my theme. You know, we like chaos, but organized chaos. You know,
Le Passion. So, Gio, now you have the second pick here in the third round. How do you want to go? Where are you going?
Okay, so just to piggyback off Ray, I'm actually going to select my stadium and fan base as well. And the stadium I will be selecting is the Stadium of Napoli, Diego Armando Maradona Stadium, and the Napoli fan base. I think obviously they are crazy. I want to win. I will want my club to win, and I want the fans to celebrate with me. So we've seen it once they were crowned champions of the Serie A again, when the fans jumped all onto the pitch and went crazy with them. You see how passionate they are. We see the patience that they have as well, after going so many years without winning a Scudetto. But no, love the fan base. They're very passionate, and it seems like once people have played in Napoli, and they spent a tenure there, we see how the fans treat former players, and it's with nothing but respect. And we've seen it with Dries Mertens. We've seen it with Gonzalo Higuain. They've all had nothing but great things to say about the city. Cavani as well. So yeah, no, it's a very historical fan base. So that is my pick.
I think that's a great pick in terms of kind of the passion a fan base have. In terms of quality of statements, I don't know. At least what I've heard. Again, I've never been to Napoli before. It is what it is. But supposedly it's quite a dirty city. No offense. But I think that there is a lot of passion in that fan base for sure. And definitely, I love the name, as you can tell based off how my draft's gone so far. So I think it's a great pick. Very solid pick there, Gio. Perfect. So now that goes to me to kind of go back around the turn. So we'll have two picks again. Oof. Okay. So Ray took my stadium, and Gio, you've already done your stadium as well. So I can save that for last from how I'm going. So I'm going to go with my city. And let me explain, give you a little bit of details about my city. I have probably the most money-bagging chase manager. I probably have the most chaotic, crazy party animal of a club legend. What city combines both of them very, very well? I'm going to go with Las Vegas, baby. Just the gambling, the insanity, the quote-unquote drug usage, legal or not legal, Maradona. It is what it is. I think that's a perfect fit, as well as in terms of building a franchise, how to be able to get investments, make money, having to, allow gambling to happen, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, in Las Vegas as well. I think that would be great. Help build the sport, build the team. So I think the opportunities are endless if you're in Vegas. Again, I don't know if I would want to let my players stay in Vegas as we're playing in Vegas. That might be a concern, might be the only downside. But to be able to build that kind of financial success as a club, I think that there's probably no other better city. As well as, Gio, you might know this better than I. It seems like whenever a team goes to Vegas, they very quickly win a championship over the recent years. So I know that happened at hockey.
Hockey, yeah. Vegas Golden Knights.
Yes. So I think, let's bring in the winning mentality, and who knows if we might get some shady underhanded business as well to help the gambling odds. Who knows? We'll take it. And again, Pep's willing to win any way as he can. 500 or so, what was the amount of financial concerns Man City had? And he's like, shrug emoji. It is what it is. So I'm definitely going to plot my team in Vegas.
So I had to do a quick Google search for how old Ivan Toney was. He's actually 27 years old, so he won't be Mac's player of choice. But of course, Mac, I'm sure it goes without saying, one of your kid sponsors is definitely going to be a gambling sponsor, because of course the Vegas theme. So I love the pick. Love the pick.
You two ended up supporting my team without you gambling. It is what it is. It is what it is. Let's get you on board. Come on, join the fan base.
No, I like it. It's all flashing lights in that city. Maybe not for Pep himself, but again for that club legend. RIP again. But we've all seen. We've all seen the documentary. We've all seen him in the stands watching Argentina. He loves a good time. Is all I have to say.
Absolutely. Whatever. As well as Maradona, whatever makes his eyes roll back in the day. For that pose that he makes for when he was watching Argentina the one time when Messi scored a thing for the World Cup, iconic. That's the photo we'll use for the what we're going to select 100%. Okay.
Yeah, 100%.
But going into the next round, the fourth round, with my second last pick, I still have young player and stadium fan base left. So I'm going to steal a little bit of Ray's heart here, and I'm going to go with Anfield and Liverpool fans. Because if you're talking about one of the most iconic teams in the world, I would argue in English football, Manchester United, Liverpool are neck and neck, as well as during tough times, that fan base is still there, as well as the current Arsenal manager, Mikel Arteta, in the Amazon documentary went through and said, "Oh, we need to build an atmosphere. You'll never walk alone," shouting out in Vegas, "Vegas, baby," at the end of that. That sounds like a perfect fit. Making it rain during the song. It just seems like a perfect mesh of a fan base that can help support, as well as help keep making money in the background, even the team's not doing so well, which they will, because again, Pep will buy the league, so it's no problem. So I think Liverpool fans with Anfield in the middle of Vegas, I think that'll be fun.
Hey, I of course wholeheartedly support that pick. What can I say? Yeah, of course. We've got some of the best. We've got some of the best fans, but what do you think?
To be honest, Ray did take my number one pick. I would have gone for the Borussia Dortmund statement for sure, without a shadow of a doubt. But if that was going to be taken, I thought Anfield was the next shot. Again, I wasn't going to pick Wembley because Spurs have played there. I don't want to do that. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? So
then we just wasted 40 minutes.
100%. Absolutely, I would lose. There's no point. But no, I'm happy with that pick. Now, Gio, that goes on to you with your second last pick.
Okay, so I still have, if I'm correct, my city and my club legend. So I will leave my club legend for last. But in terms of city, North American city, I will pick Seattle. And let me tell you why. I think Seattle fits almost that European vibe in terms of weather. It does rain, so it keeps, in Europe, especially in England, it does rain a lot, so Holland would be used to that. Nothing out of the ordinary. But in the summertime, it doesn't get too hot. They want to enjoy the sun, go to the beaches, by all means. There's water, there's beaches. Zizou would love that, buy a house by the water. Can't hate that. Never too hot, but never too cold either. So Seattle, I think in terms of hosting players and players wanting to live there to attract players, I think is a great city. And I personally love coffee. Starbucks started there, and they love their coffee there. So why would an owner not want coffee, free coffee at that? So yeah, I would love to live in Seattle.
Great pick. I think
I think that's a very much underrated city in North America, kind of like a hidden gem, as well as it doesn't have any other kind of major sport in their city. So it would get 100% of the attention if you had a successful franchise, because there's no basketball team. I don't think there's a hockey team.
Oh, there is. There's a hockey team. It's new, not so great.
Okay,
but
you
can
supplant them easily if you do well. You can supplant them easily.
Yeah.
But there is no basketball team. I know that for sure. So yes. I think you could easily, other than the other football, like the American version, that'd probably be your only main competition if you do really well, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. But very underrated city for sure.
Yep.
Historically as well, Seattle Sounders have been a decent team, so I don't think it would be hard to get that. And like you said, not a lot of other professional sports teams, so that's definitely going to be a big sort of win for the city, I think. So that's great. I like that pick as well.
But Ray, it's back to you. You have two picks, the bottom of the fourth, top of the fifth, and then you're done your draft. You still have both manager and club legend left. Where are you going?
So we are going to go with, first of all, club legend. And actually, these two are kind of tied hand in hand. of course, going back to the theme and one of the players dearest to my heart. If you guys are watching on YouTube, of course, we have the Henry jersey here that we got from the Emirates Stadium, and of course, that's going to be Thierry Henry as the club legend. Just having, of course, when Mac and I we went on our trip to London last year, we saw the statue for Henry, and of course, the iconic knee slide celebration. Having that at any other stadium in the world, of course, iconic. And so, what other way to match sort of that French team that we got going with another historic French players? And so, Thierry Henry, that will be a club legend. And of course, we know that he's very much involved with football media at the moment. So, hey, he could be part of calling games or making guest appearances here and there. He's always great on TV. So, why not continue that with us? So, Thierry Henry is my choice.
Also coached Montreal Impact when they were called Montreal Impact. So, synonymous to the city already, French speaking city. So fantastic pick. I can't argue that. That's a great pick. It just makes perfect sense.
I think I think that's a great pick. Obviously, a little bit biased here. I absolutely love Thierry Henry. So having him as your club legend, you could do a whole lot worse than him. As well as, maybe he'll bring, Kate Abdo, do the eyebrows and bring her to Montreal and have a little bit of CBS behind the scenes. I think that'd be great over there. So that I think is that it's CBS, right, that they work with? Is that correct?
Yeah.
So you'll be able to bring them there, be like, hey, this is the business. This is great guys. I've played here. It's lovely. Good time, fun all around. So I love that pick. But
of course.
This also leaves you with your manager spot. Where are you going there, Rayo? All right.
Yes, so have to go with my pick was gonna be Zidane, which has been already picked, but we're actually gonna bring it back to I'm sure there's a friendship going on between Henry and my future manager, who has some experience as well in the MLS, if I'm not mistaken, and that's Patrick Vieira. He, of course, I think at the time of recording is still in between jobs, and so he will likely be looking to get on and continue his managerial career. What better place than to, of course, join the up-and-coming French team, and that's my pick.
Great pick again.
I think it's a very underrated pick for sure.
Yeah. The theme obviously, obviously you came with a plan. It was French themed. Makes perfect sense. It just attracts players, especially the French players, and everything ties together perfectly.
Yes, the Henry Vieira duo, of course, that historically has done very well for club football. So having them being able to kind of being a club legend to pass on the torch as a manager as well, and have a one-to-one experience there, I think that's fantastic. Obviously, his kind of his role as a manager, you can put question marks on, but I think that's still there's still a lot that he could potentially grow into, and still potentially could be a great manager with him being so young. So this may be a very long-term option for you. Without questions to be asked, if you're able to keep him around, you might be set for the next 15, 20 years, potentially, given his age.
Arguably, he could have switched those two and had Henry manage Mbappe, which is closer in time for the two, and I think share a lot of similarities. So I think that could work out as well. But to have him as a mentor, as a club legend, I think works out very well as well. So nice touch there.
Lovely.
And of course, friendship that they have and their relationship that they had, just easy hit off. So that's the thinking behind that.
They'll definitely have to tag team Mbappe to make sure he stays in Montreal. So I haven't gone for the French legend there. Might help him out a little bit more. Gio, you have one category left. You have the club legend. Take us home with your draft.
My club legend is not like many other club legends. He might not even be a club legend for a lot of teams that he's played for. And that might have gave it away because he played for many teams. We actually recently spoke about him, and his name is Zlatan Ibrahimovic. I think him being a mentor for Erling Haaland and keeping that hunger in Haaland and keeping that drive in Haaland, I think would be great. So yeah, and he's just a very outspoken guy. Doing media for the team would be quite simple for him as he writes his own scripts, as his natural words are the script. So I think he kind of sells the club very well, and I think he will be a great mentor for a young Erling Haaland who craves success and craves scoring goals, and one of the most underrated scorers and strikers out there was Zlatan Ibrahimovic. So it might not fit the build with Zizou, but you got to see what Haaland likes, and long term, I'm keeping Haaland over anybody else.
I think
I love that connection.
Yeah, it's a very interesting because you could have a one-to-one type of relationship there, where the mentor mentee type of role between the two, where it is more of a not a copy and paste in terms of striker profile in some ways, but type of career arcs that they might want to try to have. Where Haaland might not move around. He could potentially move around a whole lot to a bunch of different teams, but to kind of give that success to him, and having a legend and a spokesman for a team like Ibra, who is very opinionated. So if he has a positive message about your club, that can be tough to get. So if he's giving it to your club, that stamp of approval definitely means something different than some other players for sure. Okay, well, this, I guess, then puts me at the end of my draft. Okay, so with the final pick, I have young player. There's a couple of different ways I could go here. I'll tell you a couple of players who I'm not going to pick first. I'm not going to pick Vinicius because I think you'll get eaten alive in the American media, especially with the language barrier. I don't think that would go so well. So that ties me to an English player, which you both knew what I was going to do. And now there's two choices. One that's recently signed for Real Madrid, which I don't like so much. It's not that great. But arguably, in terms of transfer market, this other player that I'm going to pick is just as value in terms of market value as him. They have it listed for 120 million pounds with Bukayo Saka. 100% going to be my pick. He's definitely a player where, from a young talent, Gio, I see you laughing, I don't like this. But the reason behind this, let me explain. Let me explain. Because when Arsenal are doing poorly, I think this picture still goes around when he says, Gunners, you deserve better. This was under the Unai Emery reign when things weren't going so well. Arsenal made the decision to stick around with Arsenal. Going into this offseason, recently signed a contract to extend. So I think he's a player that not just is good right now, is going to be good for a very, very long time. One of the most valuable players in the world in terms of just because of his age, his production, and a player that's committed. Even when things don't go well, through tough times, through harsh times, he's willing to stick around. And, who doesn't love themselves the star boy, So you got to love yourself, Saka. I was so close, by the way, to picking Ian Wright as my club legend to just then do Ian Wright Saka again for Arsenal. But just because that relationship, I don't know, it just warms the cockles of my heart. Love to see it. But if I wasn't going to pick Ian Wright, I still had to get Saka for sure. So I'm happy that you guys can put Mbappe and Haaland, so I could take Saka. So thank you.
Honestly speaking, I thought you were going to side with Jude. I think Jude is very, having a central midfield to build around, I think is fantastic. But I forgot, how could it slip my mind your love for Arsenal? It only made sense.
No. Love for Saka. Let's correct it. Let's put an asterisk. Let's go. Go back in time. Let's fix that. Love for Saka. Who doesn't? Give me people that the number amount of people that hate Saka. I don't think there's nobody that does that. So
you really can't. You really can't. I think he puts a good foot forward, especially for himself, and in terms of making a name for himself. I think he's a great kid. But yeah, no. Shocked, but not really shocked. I just expected Jude, so I was dead set on you picking Jude. That
he plays for Madrid. They're on the same level for me, but he plays for Madrid, so it knocks him down a peg. I'll be honest.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, no, and if it wasn't for your Mo Salahs, your Erling Haalands, I think Saka up and coming face of the league moving forward, and so yeah, great choice. Of course, the potential is there, and like Max said, the signs are there that he's going to stay long term. No real, I think, way that he moves away from Arsenal. So you do want that sort of loyal player, which I think Gio and I, we have players that we chose that were, at the top of the game or are about to hit the top of the game, but you can see them moving around. And I'm not sure if that's sort of like the theme nowadays with players kind of moving around and trying to prove it in different leagues. Saka, you can make the case he's definitely looking like going to be a long-term option for the Arsenal team. So yeah, great pick. I like that pick. I thought it was going to be Jude as well, but I am not mad at all at this pick.
Lovely. So this wraps up our draft. So what I'm going to do is just go through each individual kind of host's team. I'm going to start off with mine, and then of course we'll go through Ray and Gio. My young player is Bukayo Saka. My manager is Pep Guardiola. My stadium fan base are Anfield and Liverpool fans. My club legend is Diego Maradona. City is in Las Vegas, baby. Ray, your young player is Kylian Mbappe. Manager Patrick Vieira. Stadium fan base, the Signal Iduna Park. That's the Borussia Dortmund stadium. The club legend is Thierry Henry, and the city of Montreal. Gio, your franchise is the young player of Erling Haaland, manager of Zinedine Zidane Zizou. Stadium fan base, the Diego Armando Maradona Stadium. That's in Napoli. Club legend is the Zlatan Ibrahimovic. And finally, your city is Seattle. Overall, before we wrap up, how do we feel about the draft? How do you think things have gone today, gentlemen? Disappointed? Disappointed of any picks that people made? Surprising picks? You want to throw some hate, some love to anybody other drafter? What are your thoughts there?
The only thing that shocked me was, again, because I was so dead set on Jude, the Saka one. But I actually love the theme that Ray came in with. I really didn't come with a theme. I just really came with who I would enjoy the most, like the combination I would enjoy the most, and to keep it a little different in terms of club legends. But yeah, no, I thought Ray's team was very well selected. Ray's franchise was very well selected. But yeah, no shockers there. But I think arguably the most successful franchise will be my own.
Hey,
of course you would say that. Of course. I think Ray, if you do the conclusion of this podcast in French, I would vote for you. If you don't, I think you would fraud, and you don't deserve any votes.
Hey, first of all, Gio stole my manager pick, which would have been a sealed win.
That would have sealed the deal. That would have sealed, even for me. I would have voted for you.
Yeah, no, but honestly, the way I came into it, I'm like, okay, club legend, I have to go with a player I like, Henry, and then young player, Mbappe, and then it just wrote itself for Montreal. Another choice that I had for sort of stadium and fan base was the Velodrome by the Olympique de Marseille Stadium, and their fan base is crazy as well.
Yeah.
But of course, I had to go with Borussia Dortmund. And lastly, Mac, the Las Vegas pick. I love that pick because, of course, any team that goes there is going to do well. And of course, the bet tying and relationship there. Not that I'm betting, and Gio, we don't condone betting, but I do love that pick.
I thank you. I appreciate that. I think, Ray, I love the theme of your draft. I think that was great. Gio, in terms of your pick, I was a little bit surprised by the club legend. I'm surprised there wasn't a shout out for Ronaldinho. I thought that would have been someone's, because I'm trying to think of who's iconic to a certain club, and it's a little bit tougher in soccer. It's not like as many one club players, so I thought that would have been for his Barcelona. But I understand, and I can see Zlatan's a Haaland connection. So I think that's a very natural fit of how it could work well. So I do like that. So I think overall it's gone very well. Of course, like Gio, I think my team's the best. Not gonna lie. Vegas, baby, we get the money bags. The mascot would just be a big pile of money. Then we're good.
Yeah.
100%.
Just a money bag for sure.
Las
But
Vegas money.
of course, guys, you will be able to vote on which team you prefer the best, and keep an eye out for that. But this concludes our podcast for today. If you like what you heard, please like and subscribe to us on our social medias. That's at @house_of_footy. If you have any comments, suggestions, or general banter, get in touch with us via email as well, houseoffooty@hotmail.com. The next time you hear from us will be next Thursday, when we'll start our preseason coverage, reviewing teams in detail. And the first one is, of course, Arsenal. And on that note, thank you, Mac.
Las Vegas, baby.
Thank you, Gio.
Haaland.
Allez les Bleus.